Okay, I want to continue today our discussion of production. And in yesterday's video, we talked about total product and we drew a total product curve. What I want to do today is talk about this very important concept called marginal product. Marginal is an important word to economists because what we always say is decisions are made at the margin. They're not all or nothing decisions. You decide, am I going to put another dollar's worth of gasoline in my car? Not am I going to buy all the gas or no gas. So marginal is an important concept. It just means the change in or the addition. So what we want to do today is look at the marginal product of labor, the marginal productivity of these inputs that we're adding to our fixed input. So, for example, when I add one worker to my 200 acres, my output, my bales of cotton, goes from 0 bales to 5 bales. So what we say is that the marginal product, which means the additional output from worker number 1, is 5 bales. So the marginal product of the first worker is 5 bales. When we add a second worker to our 200 acres, what we find is that our output increases from 5 bales to 15 bales. So by adding this second input, this second worker, my output increases. The marginal product, the additional output of worker number 2 is actually 10 bales. A third worker, my output goes from 15 bales to 30 bales. So the marginal productivity of worker number 3 is 15 bales, and worker number 4 is actually 20 bales. Now, one question we want to ask ourselves is, well, is worker number 4 just smarter, quicker, better than worker number 3 or 2 or 1? And he very well may be, but this certainly doesn't say that. What this says, what it suggests is that division and specialization of labor accounts for the increased productivity. If you just have one guy working the 200 acres, he's doing everything. He's a jack of all trades. If you add a second worker, well then the first guy can specialize on planting and watering, and the second guy can specialize on picking weeds and bugs. And the more workers 1 through 4 that we add, we end up with increasing productivity. Now, look at worker number 5. If we add worker number 5, I still get more output. It goes from 50 bales to 68 bales, which is an increase of 18 bales. But what you will also notice is that worker number 5 is where this law of diminishing marginal productivity sets in. It sets in, it begins with worker number 5. Diminishing marginal productivity is not a bad thing. It's not a good thing. It's just a thing to which all production is subject. So do not attach negative connotations to worker number 5 because he has diminishing marginal productivity. If Farmer Brown adds worker number 5, he's going to get 18 more bales of cotton. And if we continue down with our production schedule and look at the marginal productivity of each of these workers, worker number 6 will add 10 bales to my output. So the marginal productivity of worker number 6 is 10. Worker number 6 produces 78 bales. Worker number 7 produces 80 bales. That is an increase of 2. So worker number 7 still has positive marginal productivity. It's worker number 8, when we add worker number 8, that we actually lose bales of cotton. And in fact, the marginal productivity of worker number 8 is -2. This isn't to cast aspersions on worker number 8. It's to say that that's too many inputs to my 200 acres. And if we continue to add workers, here we have -8, and here we have -10. So This is the marginal productivity of these individual workers. Now, if we want to graph this, you can put total product, marginal product on the same graph, but one is a total variable and the other is a per unit variable, and I like to separate them so we can look at them. Now, the maximum marginal productivity of any worker is worker number 4 at 20. But let's look at marginal productivity of each of these workers. So again, this is my labor or my inputs. We're using labor, but this is marginal productivity of any input. Worker number 1 has marginal productivity of 5. So there's the marginal productivity of worker number 1. Worker number 2's marginal productivity is 10. Worker number 3's marginal productivity is 15. 3 is 15. And 4 is 20. Worker number 5 has marginal productivity of 18. That means he's going to increase my output by 18. But that's right here. Worker number 6, his marginal productivity is 10. That's here. Number 7, 5, 6, 7 is 2. And worker number 8 is 5, 6, 7, 8 is actually minus 2. And down here to minus 10. So if we graph our marginal product curve, it looks like this. And it is with the 5th worker where diminishing marginal productivity sets in. Again, do not attach negative connotations to diminishing marginal productivity. But once diminishing marginal productivity sets in, it just continues going south. It's not going to turn around as long as we have our 200 acres as our fixed factor of production. So this is my marginal productivity curve, which becomes very important when we start talking about costs, because the marginal productivity will turn into marginal costs of production. At any rate, this is our marginal product curve, and it's very important. Here is where marginal productivity begins to diminish. Here is where marginal productivity becomes negative. It's very important to understand the difference between the word negative and diminishing, because diminishing is still positive contributions to the producer's output. In the next video, we're going to talk about average productivity.